he could be charged with murder. So they kind of, I don't know if you ever heard that one on Art Bells, but it was really interesting.
Wow. Yeah, no, I did not know that, but that's very interesting.
Well, anyway, we got to get out of here, but please, consider this. Bear spray at least when you go up there, please. I mean, I don't want to read on the news that somebody in that group got mauled.
Well, at least you'd hear about us in the news, right? That's a plus.
Well, you never know. My ex-wife from my first marriage could maybe have moved over there, and you don't want to be mauled by that.
Oh, you know what? You're right. I'm getting bear spray right now.
Well, I think Tim's personality is enough of a repellent. So.
Right.
Yeah. Well, if you want to attract them, just don't put on any deodorant for about a week ahead of time.
That's a good point.
Okay, guys. Well, I really enjoyed having you on the show. Hey, guys, go on to their website, donate whatever you can. Help, support what they're doing. I mean, I am so proud of young people, what they're able to do nowadays, the equipment they have. Also, with the right type of equipment they have nowadays and being able to edit and add things into it. I mean, being a film artist, producing movies, indie movies. I mean, so many people are doing it and they're coming out with stuff that really competes with anything you see on Sci-Fi or Comet or any of those channels. So, I mean, hey, it's the time for the indies. I mean, where you can produce a movie for $1 million or less and beat movies that cost $25 million or more.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, you can send the check to me for promoting you guys to 710 Mockingbird Lane anytime you want. Anyway, guys, I really enjoyed it.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah, checks in the mail. I say that every week to people. They say that to me. So, I mean, what can I say? Guys, I want you to have a great trip and contact me, when you get back and let me know if you ran into anything interesting other than Michael Hall eating marshmallows over a fire.
Hey, well, Gary, thank you so much for having us on the show. This has been a lot of fun. We really do appreciate the opportunity. And, anytime.
Okay, guys, you have a great one. And, again, get a hold of me when you get back, seriously.
You betcha. And, hey, if anything happens in the trip, I'll shoot you a text.
Oh, please do. Okay. And put a piece of meat with you if you're looking to get Bigfoot coming towards you. Seriously, like I said, from all those 3 medicine people I talked to from those tribes, they said that they really are attracted to meat, not peanut butter, things like that.
I'm going to go to the store tomorrow and I'm going to grab a whole bunch of meat and I'm going to go out by myself and I'm going to see what comes my way.
Yeah, well, probably somebody walking and it hasn't held a job down for the last 5 years. Take care, guys.
All right, take it easy, man. Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, stay out of trouble. Night. Oh boy, going back to Antarctica, what I'm really getting scared about, guys, is what's happening. I mean, now you have this bay that all through history that we at least have got recorded up in that one bay. It kind of melted a little bit last summer, but now it's totally like breaking up and melting. And it is really scary what's going on. And it doesn't take much of the ocean temperature to drop where you have countries like the UK and Europe. If you stop that flow, it comes around from the equator, how the current goes, and it stalls it. I mean, you could look at, some of these movies that you've seen where the earth is doomed and things like that. I mean, years and years and years ago in Russia, it got so cold that people froze to death in their own little houses because they couldn't keep it warm enough. Even it got to the point where they're yanking their doors and flooring off to burn it, trying to keep warm. And they still froze to death because that's how cold the temperatures got. And it wouldn't take much from all the research I've read, especially in the UK and parts of Europe, they could go into a deep freeze and not come out of it. And that's what's scary. And it could happen like overnight. Now, what they're talking about, all this water that is now, dropping the temperature of the ocean as it melts. raising the sea level up, it's going to create more than just, stalling the weather. It also is going to create, beachfront property. It might be inland about quite a few miles. That's number one. But I am really worried how fast this global warming is going on. And, I just read yesterday that they said that now, starting next summer, that the temperatures in the summer are going to get in some areas, so hot that you couldn't take the temperature. That's how hot it's going to get. And then it's in the wintertime, it's going to do the opposite, where you get your normal rain pattern is going to go into like monsoons or heavy rains that might rain for weeks at a time, heavy and not stop, because it doesn't know when to stop. And that's what I'm really worried about. When I was younger, I used to listen to all these freaking scientists, come out and say all this stuff is going to happen. Then you get these government officials coming out saying, oh, it's hogwash. They don't know what they're talking about. There's no proof that there's anything as climate changes. Well, you know what? They knew it. They just lied. And I don't know if we're at the point of no return, but it scares me. And then you got things like Yellowstone. You have all the Ring of Fire, all this in the last couple days, actually this weekend. The earthquakes all over the Ring of Fire has been a huge number of earthquakes in the 6 points and even into 7 points in a couple of the areas. And they're talking about, like, out of California, a big one could happen shorter and sooner than they even thought, because of all the little earthquakes is going on now. And it's all around the Ring of Fire. So, I would really get nervous if you look at your mountain where you live at, if you live anywhere near that Ring of Fire, and you look at like Mount Rainier, and all of a sudden you start seeing smoke coming out of it. I don't know. It's all those things you have to worry about that you didn't have to worry about 20 years ago. But, when we had people saying that, like, California is going to drop off into the sea, you had that going on, all those predictions. I don't think it's going to drop off into the sea. I think the sea is just going to swallow up the land because, let's face it, all this ice is melting, increasing the water level. Plus, you look at all this fresh water, it's now mixing with the salt water. What's it going to do to all the sea life? Let's face it, it's going to kill off a lot of sea life. And now we're even going to talk about in Japan, the reactor that melted down, or the reactors that melted down. Well, now the Japanese government is basically saying they're going to release all this nuclear waste out in the ocean. Think about that. All the stuff that they stockpiled for all these years from the meltdown, all that contaminated liquid and water and whatever, they're going to dump that in the ocean? What's that going to do to the ocean itself? How many of the fish and mammals and all this stuff are going to just die off? There's a high rate right now of whales dying that they can't figure out why. But in the last few days, it's been over 25 reported cases of large whales in different areas just dying, and major sharks and stuff just dying off. And it scares me. Who comes up with some of these brain ideas? Okay, let's get rid of all this pollution now. We have no place to dump it other than the ocean, and it'll be absorbed. Yeah. Well, do you want to eat that salmon, or you want to eat that whatever, lobster, and go ahead and eat it, and see if you glow at night as you're walking to take a leak going to your bathroom too. People are worried about cancers and all this stuff. They're finding radiation even in Washington State in our milk and all that stuff, all from what happened in Japan. And now they're talking about they're going to release this stuff in the ocean. Come on, guys. The earth is fucked up. Pardon my language. I can say that because we're not on commercial radio as of yet. But that's changing. But it really scares me when these scientists and governments come up with ideas. Oh, we'll just dump it in the ocean. Oh, come on. You can only dump stuff out in the ocean so long, just like they did some of that really toxic chemicals that the military went out, the Navy and all that stuff back in the 50s and 60s. Their idea was to get rid of it. They go out in the middle of the ocean and just dump it in barrels, right? Not worrying about, because they figured, the barrels will last 10, 20 years before they're ate up and all the chemical is released. And then it contaminates the water. I mean, come on. What are we trying to kill the planet faster than anything? And that's what it seems like. Now you have all these forest fires going on in California, Eastern Washington, Oregon, British Columbia. That pollution from those forest fires are making its way to North Carolina as I speak, New York, the ash and all that stuff. It's horrible. So we have that going on along with all the cars we drive, all the pollution from your putt-putt going to work or going out with your girlfriend to the movies, what we, dump out in the ocean from our septic tank systems to our sewer systems that are not treated the way it should be treated, out in contaminating. And now, Japan. Oh, come on. Okay, Trump, get with it, okay? I wouldn't want to eat any seafood if that happens. Seriously. Would you want to eat seafood if all of a sudden they decided to get rid of all these years of radiated contaminants out of the... Oh, no way. Come on. And then, then it's going to find its way into the cattle from rain and all this stuff. I mean, it's bad enough if you go out there. I had a friend that likes going out yachting. And he also, does merchant marine. And there's parts out in the ocean, if you're going from United States to Japan, where there's like miles of, you ready for this? Bottles, milk bottles, garbage, just floating in the ocean, where, the whales swim through it, they get caught in it and they die, or porpoises and all that stuff. I mean, really, and it's bad. But yet I don't know. I think we spend our money in the wrong places. We should be really looking at our earth, the place we put our feet in and walk every day. We need to worry about us. I mean, global warming it's real. Maybe I won't see at my age the effects, but I know my kids and my grandkids are going to have to live in a world that's totally different than what we have. So, maybe where you're living at, you might be used to like 70 degree, 80 degree weather. How would you like to go out there and it's pushing 115, 120, 125 degrees? And then in the winter, it does the opposite. So instead of being in the 30s and the 20s in the winter, it's 10 below zero and the winters are extended. And then you find you want to go plant a garden, but you only have a month and a half of summer to even plant a garden and nothing grows. This is what we're doing to our earth. And it's about time we really start opening our eyes, And then lastly, asteroids, meteorites, anything like that. We need to really spend more money to find out what is coming towards the earth. With the budget they have, I mean, they can't map it all out because they don't have the resources to. That big one could hit 2 minutes from now and we wouldn't even know it. Now, NASA does confirm that there's basically a second moon. There's an asteroid that for the last 100 years, that they just recently discovered it, is going around Earth just like the moon is. It's trapped in our magnet field of Earth. And, I don't know. I mean, then there's been a lot of stuff going on in images lately on the internet, not just on Facebook, everywhere about Planet X. Is there a Planet X? I know that they have discovered a planet. It doesn't belong to any solar system, just kind of doing its own thing, just kind of floating around out there. But is there a Planet X next to the sun? It's working their way. I mean, some scientists are claiming that in Antarctica, they got a great view a great view of Planet X just because the location, because the air is crisp,